Hi, babies! Mommy's home!
Reptiles have ain't pretty. I am infinite. I am Batman.
But he is my father.
I am he who is called Raish Al Ghul. He's in there. I want him by any means necessary.
Call me Poison Ivy.
Clark. This is between you and me.
Come on, Tommy, get over here! Get that thing going!
Yo, what's going down, Green Screen Entertainment fans? Your boy Jay Green back right now. As I said before, as I promised, we got that discussion, spoiler talk, review for Zack Snyder's Justice League. My God, I got my best friend right here, one of my homies from the longest time. Juan, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Juan. I think the most interesting thing in the world is the amount of time that I've known Justin. So since you guys have gotten to know him while you guys watch his reviews, I know him on a personal level, on a family-like level, on a level that it's a constant reminder to me that he's an amazing guy and he's super funny. And I didn't tell him I was going to say all this, but I love talking to him. I love working with him. We love talking comics. We love talking movies, especially movies now. So I think we've been into it our whole lives because we grew up in that generation. So to be in our 30s now and to still be having these conversations is kind of cool. And to see us get old, or at least feel old on my part, because he still looks amazing, is also fun. But Del Roble Elementary School.
Oh, Grow High, what up? So, that's right. We've been knowing each other for a long time. So I said, who am I going to bring on? Who's going to be the guy that's going to help me break this film down in all of its glory and all of the complex things that were going on behind the scenes? All right, y'all. Now check it out. We finna break down this plot for Zack Snyder's Justice League in 3 minutes or less. My man, how you feeling about this?
I'm praying for you. It's a 4-hour movie. Let's
Shit,
go.
he ain't lying right now. Okay, so check this out. So number one, this film opens up where BVS left off. We got Doomsday laying waste to the Man of Steel. He got the spear through his heart, all of that shit. Okay? Superman is screaming out in agony. The god is dead. He's dying. His sound waves are radiating around the globe. Now, because of this, they're waking up these mother boxes. Now, just in case you forgot from the Joss Whedon crap fest, these mother boxes are what Steppenwolf and Darkseid want to use because they are all powerful to create Earth into their own home planet's atmospheric composition, if you will. Now, once this jumps off, Steppenwolf comes in. He's trying to go to the Amazonians. He's trying to get the mother box. He's basically going all around the world, and that's what his job is to do. And he's tasked with this job by Darkseid. Darkseid is the DC Universe's biggest baddie. He can really F some shit up if you know what I'm saying. While all this is going down, we got Bruce Wayne on his mission to continue to put the team together. It's basically him and Diana kind of tasking out like, okay, you're going to go work with this guy, you're going to go work with that guy, back and forth until they eventually bring the team together. And the team is extremely reluctant to join up. You got Arthur Curry kind of doing his own thing. He's not really trying to hang out with Earthlings, if you will. He's not trying to hang out with what do they call it? I've just lost my train of thought.
Atlanteans?
Atlanteans, right? And the Flash, he wants to be friends with people, but then you got Cyborg. He's pissed off at everybody. He's pissed off at his dad, which we're going to get into a little bit later on. Eventually, they all come together, and it's great, okay? And they're going to fight Steppenwolf. Now, Steppenwolf is dealing with his own little conflict. He actually probably seems like he don't really want to be there. We learn in the Zack Snyder cut that Steppenwolf is actually in debt to Darkseid for something that we don't know, but he's in debt to Darkseid. He owes him like 50,000 worlds. So, in the end of the day, Justice League comes together. Steppenwolf trying to get the mother boxes, put them together to create all the power in the cosmos to destroy Earth and turn everyone on Earth that does remain living into parademons. They're demon slaves, if you will. And then, of course, the Justice League is going to fight them. And as this is a spoiler review, they win the game, son. Now, what's most important, because you probably already seen the original Justice League and you got your own thoughts and feelings about it. But what's most important is what's different about the plot in Zack Snyder's Justice League versus what we got in 2017. Juan, let's talk about it.
That's something that for me, while I was watching the movie, I was attempting to, you obviously want to try and compare immediately, right? And I'll be the first one that's going to be honest. It's going to be difficult for you to really grab the difference in the plot because I sat there actually enjoying what I consider to be an extremely high caliber, high quality, well thought out film. So for me, I still sit here. I only saw it one time. I'm probably going to have to watch it a few more times for me to really be able to distinguish the difference. But, you're going to see it for yourself. Once you actually watch the Zack Snyder cut, you have this realization of it kind of is parallel plots, let's say. You could tell that Josh obviously kind of took his entire film from Zack Snyder, but it literally is snippets. So as you're watching it, you're going to realize, oh, okay, this reminisces with the first film. And then there's another snippet. This reminisces with the other film. And it still kind of gives you the overall idea of what Josh was going for, but Zack Snyder's movie is completely different at the same time. So it's a little difficult to kind of put that in words, but you'll be able to feel it when you see it.
Yeah, I would say that, like Juan stated, the snippets are there. So you have the gist of it. It's almost like what Joss Whedon gave us was a 30-second elevator pitch.
It's called Clip Notes. You guys remember in school? You wouldn't read the book, right? You go to first page, middle page, back page, and then you ask your friend for the notes. That's literally what he gave you. And what do you do with that? You probably get a C, maybe sometimes a D, but most of the time you're shooting for a C when you're taking that test, right?
and that's exactly what we got when Joss Whedon put that film out.
Right.
So the major difference with this movie is that it's more cohesive. There's more details to the characters that we missed out on in the original film. If people from the original film were saying that the problem with it was that we didn't get to know the characters. We don't know what their motivations or their intentions are and why they feel the way that they feel and why is this happening, why is that happening, and you're not built into that universe. The major difference that you all need to see for yourselves is how Zack Snyder truly constructed that, how he built that, and it was basically just dismantled completely. So that's pretty much like the biggest differences. The plot is basically the same, but you just get so much more nutrients. You get so much more of the building blocks to the Justice League, and it was very much so missing from the original. You're gonna get that in this film. That is the biggest difference.
Yeah. The 4 hours, first thing I'm going to state is the 4 hours, initially you go in a little intimidated and you're thinking, man, is this really going to be interesting for 4 hours? And you'll realize why it is all 4 hours of it. It's so good because of the fact, the difference of the plot, the biggest difference of the plot within the movie has to be with the fact that everything is well thought out. Everything is well explained. Everything ties into itself. So it all actually makes sense. And I'm not saying that the first one didn't make sense, but again, the first one is like the Cliff Notes version of what Zack Snyder did. And so when you actually watching this film, it takes 4 hours to actually, to take the time and actually explain everything well and to allow you to get to know the character, to allow you to be invested with the character, and then obviously to have a little stake in the game. So that was very well done.
All right, y'all. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about what worked for us and what didn't work for us in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. So Juan, you want to hit that first? What worked for you best? Most?
Yeah, it's better for me to go with what didn't work because it's a shorter list. What didn't work for me, and this is something where I can compare it to, I'm going to call it first film, second film. We understand that the first film is Joss's film and the second film is Snyder. So on the first film, the score, the music to me was there. It kind of made sense. And I realize now after watching the second film that the reason it made sense in the first film is like the entire movie is the music. In the second film, I'll say that the score really it didn't kind of pull me in every single time. The fight scenes are still amazing. the fight scenes are so much more in the second film. I mean, they did so much more with it, and I was really pleased with that. But I can definitely say that maybe they need to spend a little more time on the score. So if I was to say anything that could have been better in my eyes, it definitely would have been the score of the second film. But now it's a way longer list for what it is I actually like. So let me tell you, how about you tell me what it is you didn't like?
So I'm gonna piggyback off of that with the score. I did think that because I'm pretty sure I have to fact check it, but if Hans Zimmer did the score for Justice League, I'm not 1,000% sure, but he definitely has done a lot of the DC films, and the score in the original Justice League had more moments that did bring you in. So I agree with you on that one, in that this Zack Snyder version didn't. There was some of the Wonder Woman theme was there a little bit, but then for the most part, there was kind of like a gladiator type, some kind of like weird, like singing like this. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm feeling that completely. And then just, it didn't really add any drama. It didn't really add any true intensity or moments of sorrow or sadness. And there's some moments in this movie where shit gets kind of real. It didn't really add more to it, but even though it didn't really add anything to it, I do want to showcase that because this movie gives so much more to the characters, it was okay. It was okay. It was like, if this score was in the Joss Whedon version, it would have been even worse. But in the Joss Whedon version, you at least had the score.
Right.
The other thing that I didn't like, I'm really nitpicking here. What was it? There was one, oh man, I gotta like think deep. I got it because I really love like damn near everything about this movie. The only other thing that I really didn't like necessarily was maybe we didn't get as much Superman as I would have wanted. I've been waiting for a Man of Steel 2 since 2013, right? BVS, we got a little bit of Superman and Batman fighting, of course. And then in Justice League, we seen what happened to him there. I wanted more of him. What we got of him, I did like, but I would have liked more of him. So if it was just like the score and the lack of Superman is probably what stands out the most.
I actually want to comment on that because now that you brought it up, if I was to say character build up or them spending time on the character, film one, now that I realize it, when we talk about the difference in the plot, film one, I would say the entire movie seemed to revolve around Superman, the bringing back of Superman. So first he died, and then how are we going to bring him back? Or we need him, and then you realize you could bring him back. You try it, boom, he's back. And it almost like Superman kind of won it at the end in the first movie. In the second movie, maybe because there's so much character development for all other 5 characters, Batman's character really kind of took a back seat. So it's something that they could have built it up, and I'm not mad at the fact that they didn't, but the fact that you can say, or there's this feeling that, you know, we kind of missed it a little bit, it would have been nice to have a little more Superman. So it actually didn't feel as cohesive, potentially because you're comparing it to the first film where it was a lot more about Superman. But in the second movie, again, you have 4 hours of film, and that 4 hours really goes into the development of all the other 5 characters. And it's probably, I would say all 5 characters. I mean, they developed them well, and they brought in different aspects that we obviously didn't even have the opportunity to know that it existed in the first film.
Yeah. So you're saying that's what you liked?
No, this is more on what I didn't like. I agree with you. The fact that Superman wasn't as present, and not so much as present, but he wasn't as developed in this film. It wasn't something where I didn't feel like he was a major part of the storyline, believe it or not. Even not without spoiling it, even at the end, there's parts of that were filmed relatively different. Yeah. And that was something that it's not necessarily a disappointment. It was just completely different.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely we're in agreement on the fact that they needed a little bit more Superman, or it would have been nice.
Absolutely. I think it would have been the cherry on top. It would have topped it off perfectly.
Yeah. I don't think that so this is going to be an interesting take. I don't think that it's a bad thing for the story that we didn't have more Superman. I just wanted more Superman. However, it's interesting that the story jumps off because of Superman dying, and we don't get more Superman.
Well, go ahead.
I'm just like,
so here you're pulling it out because if you really look at it in that perspective, what you have to see is the one thing that this movie did amazing in the beginning was to show you the impact of having the Kryptonian pass away. So the fact that 1, he woke up the mother boxes, and then 2, that's when bad people start coming. It to me, it built up, man, Superman has a huge piece in this. On the first film, again, it kind of felt like Superman won it. It was because of Kryptonian that they're able to win, and they realized that in that movie, or they staged that up in the first movie. In the second movie, I'm so busy kind of being involved with the character development of everyone else, that you remember at the end, oh, they technically wouldn't have won if Superman wasn't woken up.
Right.
So that was a little different on Zack's part.
And I will say to that point too, as you were talking about it, it just made my wheels start turning, as you can see. But one of the things that I did, like if I'm sliding over to what I did like about it, what did work for me, is that Batman is the world's greatest detective. And I've had plenty of people. I remember when the BVS was first coming out, one of my homies, he was my homie Matt, the one that thought there was too much destruction in Metropolis, this guy. But I remember he was telling me, like, how the hell is Batman going to beat Superman? And I said, look, goddammit, you bite your tongue. You don't talk that way about the Caped Crusader. Because Batman is so smart, he's got contingency plans for Flash, for Wonder Woman, for Aquaman. He'll take all their asses out. And what I loved about this movie, even though we both wanted a little bit more Superman, but we're so invested in the character development for everyone else, is that we're seeing Batman to what we might think, because we're Batman fans, right? We might think, man, Batman's kind of taking a back seat, but is he really? No, he never is. Actually creating the troop carrier, right? He's getting all the weaponry. He's building the team. He's the one researching all these people. He's putting everything together. He's the tactician, if you will. And what I liked about it is that you haven't really seen Batman in any iteration other than, you know, we shouldn't mention Batman and Robin, but we've never really seen Batman working with anyone else like this. So I did like that aspect of it. And I think it's ballsy that Zack Snyder, in his original thought process, would have given us a movie where people are clamoring for Superman to be Superman again. Doesn't give us a Superman, gives us black suit Superman. Yeah. Still dark, still pissed off, still angry. Yeah. And gives Batman a backseat to Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Flash. Yeah. What the fuck?
I mean, that right there within itself, because I'm now going to segue into what I liked. That shows talent, right? The fact that you have the ability to not give people what they think they want and then show them this is what you really want. Because if you were to give that plot to anybody prior to the film, they would say, I don't think I'm going to like this. It's going to be weak. And then you actually watch the film and you realize, wow, I mean, if you look at Batman versus Superman and you think about Superman and Batman kind of taking a back seat to the entire movie, we know for a fact what Batman had to do with the development of the characters themselves and bringing that team together. But the movie really does focus on everyone else. And so to see that he was able to provide us that and to come out of it pleased at the end is, I mean, that's the number one thing. And I'm going to go ahead and start throwing it out there. For us, you know, yearning for a part 2, for us yearning for a Zack Snyder that is going to make something part 2 that ties to this, because his ability to tell the story, his ability to, in the manner in which it was filmed, and the way in which he expressed it, the emotion of the film, it's something that's totally different. I mean, we haven't seen it, I believe, to this capacity, especially because of number of characters, right? You may have seen it in Batman versus Superman, but for the number of characters in a team effort, you haven't seen it to this capacity yet, and he managed to break into that, being that the movie was never officially released, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I think that to put a cap on this portion right here, that to kind of go back to, you know, what I didn't like, now that when you said that, the biggest thing that I didn't like is that we might not get some of these things that we saw in this film played out. We might not see them fully play out because there are some major cliffhanger type situations and some big time spoiler things that we'll address in a second. But the thought that we might not ever see these things truly play out in this way, the Zack Snyder flair and swag, look, tone, all of that pisses me off. But with all that said, we're going to move on. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about how we felt about the way that the characters were handled. Not in how much that necessarily that they were used, but more so in the direction that these characters were taken in this version as opposed to the original 2017 version. So are there any characters that you feel stand out to you the most, that you liked where they went, or you thought it was fine the way it was originally?
Yeah, absolutely. So film 1, you know, Cyborg comes in. It's the first time you've seen him. I think I remember from one of the other movies, there's a teaser that you knew Cyborg was coming in the future.
Batman vs Superman, they had all that little.
So you had the footage. Again, greatest detective in the world, right? Knew what was out there. He's looking into it. This film takes it again. It's a testament to the overall movie, but I would say the way Cyborg was handled in the first film, the best way to say it's non-existent, right? It literally just it almost felt like filler work. It felt like, oh, we know that this person's a part of the Justice League. If you read the comics, you'd fully understand them. But if you haven't read the comics, you're probably not going to know shit about the guy.
Yeah.
And so all you know is, he's a cyborg, and you know that his father did this with a mother box. In this movie, if you think about that alone, it almost made me feel like it was its own independent film on its own within the movie, which was actually impressive, right? Again, I said 4 hours. They fill up all 4 hours, right? All 4 hours are used very well. So when you look at the development of Cyborg, I really enjoyed understanding him as a person. I really enjoyed having Zack really look at what his psyche was going through. And obviously, you think about first you're human, all of a sudden you're half man, half cyborg. And just in battling that, and then you throw in the little aspect of the situation with his father. So without saying too much, man, that kind of blows your mind. It actually pulls you in. It actually drew you in. It actually made you feel for the guy. And that, again, was not existent at all in the first movie. And I don't think it was possible to be existent if I was really thinking about it, because of the amount of time that you need to be able to do that. So for me, huge plus on this movie. Again, everyone was developed relatively well, in my opinion. But Cyborg was definitely the standout for me, where I would want to watch a movie of him alone.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think like when I was watching it, I was like taken back by how much Cyborg was front and center, and not in the sense of like, hey, we got this black superhero that we've never seen before because that's the hot thing to do right now. But that, first of all, Cyborg's been in the Justice League, for all y'all non-comic book fans that think that they're just making stuff up, because I know a lot of y'all are out there, but he's been around for quite some time. So to see a guy who knows everything, and his dad says in the film, look, now you have these gifts, and Cyborg himself, he doesn't think that these are gifts.
Right.
He thinks that this is a burden, that this is something bad that is taking his life away. Like, you know what I'm saying? The opportunities in life that he originally had. So his dad says, you now have a choice. And I think it's interesting that when you look at these DC heroes, Superman and Cyborg, the Justice League, Wonder Woman, Batman, right? They're all based in morals and values. What is my choice? I have these abilities. What am I going to do with it, right? And they choose to do good. Cyborg was already a cool dude. You know, they show a scene when he's like helping someone change their grades. And when he's kind of getting in trouble about it, his mom's telling the principal, look, this girl, they just lost their house. They're in this dire situation. What were you doing to help her out? She's obviously smart, but she's having some trouble right now. So you instantaneously know this is a good guy. He's doing something out of the kindness of his heart. And it's not super duper like malicious and how should I say, like personal to him. It's for someone else. And it didn't seem forced. There's a lot of other movies where some characters do things and it seems very forced.
Right.
I'm not going to name them films right now. I'm just saying, okay? Then the stuff happens with his dad, and he becomes Cyborg and all that sort of stuff, and he could give up, and he wants to quit, but then he changes up his swag, and then now he becomes the guy who's really going to be the one that makes a difference. And like Juan was saying, if you don't see all of those things play out in the original film, you just think that this is a guy they just threw into the Justice League. He's black guy. It's hot right now to throw black people in cinema because black people are complaining and crying about shit. That's not what it is, y'all. This is called good storytelling. This is called character development. And this is a way that we now know that these characters have been around for a moment. It is important to have representation. Black Panther was amazing for that. And this is DC's opportunity to show that representation. And they took that out of the Joss Whedon version. It's crazy. But Cyborg did stand out for me. He was legit. Anybody else?
He's the one that really got me the most. A lot of people complained about Flash on the first film.
Oh, hated Flash in the first film.
And
Hated him.
In this one, I will say I disliked it less, I could say, which is a positive, right? It's still, when you watch the movie, you're going to see the greater role that he has in it. And on the plus side, in that development of his ability, for me being a Flash fan, like I was kind of in awe. I was watching the movie and I was at a point in my own house and I was like, I'm about to stand up right now because this is amazing. And so like the little kid came out inside of me and I was sitting there thinking, yes, they actually put this in the movie.
Yeah.
Which automatically leads you to being like, hey, I really want to see a Flashpoint. I really want to see how this goes. We're in the era now that we can do things of that nature and actually do them justice. So because of that, the fact that they kind of touch on some things with the Flash, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Not that there isn't much to develop with the Flash, but again, they did develop him a little more, which was nice.
So I just recently in 2020 started binge watching The Flash. I'm very busy. I watch movies all the time, y'all. Okay. So I had an opportunity, as you all know, pandemic gives you a lot of time on your hands, to binge The Flash. And I fell in love with that show. Cried multiple times, cheered multiple times.
Yes.
Now, Ezra Miller is no Grant Gustin. That's just a fact, y'all. Okay. He's no Grant Gustin. But like Juan was saying, I did not like Ezra Miller's version of The Flash at all in the Joss Whedon version. I felt like the jokes were lame. They were just forced and thrown in out of nowhere. And because we didn't really see what he in particular had going on, it didn't really make sense to who he was as a person, right?
Right.
In this film, I feel like I feel like Zack Snyder put it all together a lot better. So the little jokes and quips and things like that he had, they hit a lot more. And to your point about what we can now do with superheroes, Marvel's been doing it wonderful for years. There's no denying that. But what is amazing for us comic book fans and us kids at heart when we see this is to see the things that we've read in the comics or seen in the cartoons play out in live action. And we've never seen, again, a Flash movie, a Wonder Woman movie, a Cyborg movie. So now when we're seeing these characters introduced and then doing some of their marquee things, like a little time reversal type shit, like that Speed Force type stuff, going up against the Man of Steel. These things have gone on in the comics, so we're actually seeing it play out, and it was all developed and done extremely well. So Flash was definitely a standout in this film because I disliked him in the original film so much. So big ups on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I want to touch on a point. If you think about the development of the characters while we're watching the movie, I was sitting there watching it, and the first thing I thought about for myself was what I call the original Batman, right? So if I'm thinking about Michael Keaton Batman, I remember what that made me feel when I was a kid. I remember how it is I felt watching it on live screen, and just like you're dreaming. Like, I want to be that person. You
want to get
it
nuts?
looks like.
Let's get nuts.
Right. And so you sit there and you see that. And then if you think about years later to watch another movie in an era where Marvel kind of has really taken over the last 10 years, and
justly so.
You have to give them credit. I mean, I'm a huge Marvel buff myself, so I give them credit, and I've enjoyed those movies. But I feel like Marvel did so well with character development early on because they managed to give individual characters their movies, so you're automatically buying in. There's a 10-year development, and all of a sudden you have Infinity Wars, and that it's like it's given. Of course you're gonna like that. I mean, it's difficult to mess that up if you do it the right way. Here, for DC, doing DC justice, and to watch this movie and have it spark up something inside of me that kind of reminded me of what it was like to be a kid, and watching them do certain characters justice, which, again, there was no opportunity to do anybody justice. All they did was injustice for the first movie. And the thing I'm going to mention now, because it's a great time, is you don't realize that until you watch Zack Snyder's version. So when you watch Zack Snyder's version, you realize, wow, that first movie, what was that? I mean, who in their right mind would film something like that, write something like that, produce it, and actually allow it to get released and say this is legit? And then you watch Zack Snyder's, which, again, all the controversy behind it, and we finally get it, and we're thankful for it, and we're like, now I understand why it is they didn't want to release it, because it really shows what should have been done in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely gave some of these characters that were like almost forgotten and kind of like crapped on and dumped on in the original film justice, for sure, no pun intended. I'm thinking, like, I love what they did with Wonder Woman. They gave Wonder Woman and the Amazonians a lot more adventure appeal. They gave them a little bit more of that grit and that grime that we saw like in Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman film.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like man, these women is badasses, dude. They don't give a fuck about nothing.
Right.
They are not scared of shit. And it is so believable. Like, for reals. I love everything that they did with the Amazonians and Wonder Woman, and I wish Zack Snyder had made the second Wonder Woman movie because of that. But that's for another topic another day. Let's see, who else was there? So there was so with Superman, let's talk about that right quick.
Okay.
What how'd you feel about black suit Superman? Superman coming back, the black suit, let's do it.
I wanted explanation and understanding for having the suit, but maybe it was intentional that they didn't explain it because every single individual can come to their own conclusion. So obviously my conclusion is this Superman never fully warmed up, in my opinion, throughout the film. So because they never fully warmed up, wearing a black suit seemed a little more serious, a lot more just about business. The man just got resurrected. I'm going to go ahead and give him a slide on this one. So if you take that into account, I still want to kind of know, though, what was the reasoning? If there is one, right? And if there isn't one, I'm still okay with it. You still look great.
I'll say that Henry Cavill has been horribly misrepresented in the DC universe, right? He should have got a Man of Steel 2 by this point in time. I'm sure most of y'all out there agree, but we want more of him. He's a fantastic Superman. And I think that I want to know why he has that black suit. I'm not as well steeped in knowledge with Superman lore as I am maybe with Batman and certain other characters. So what I can tell you is that if you remember in BVS at the end when Lex Luthor is talking with Steppenwolf in the ship and he's like, the bell has been rung. You know, they've heard the call in the galaxy. The sound has been out there, and he's referencing Superman dying by the hands of Doomsday, and that's how Steppenwolf is coming to get the mother boxes, so on and so forth. Right? There's a reason. It's like an Easter egg / foreshadowing, if you will, why Superman is wearing that suit. And when Batman had that dream, that nightmare, when he was being attacked by Superman in the normal blue and red, that all has a reason, which is again why I'm so upset that maybe we might not get a sequel to this version of the Justice League, because I'm guaranteeing in the next series or the next iteration of these films, that would have been answered.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into some of our biggest spoilers, the things that stood out the most, the what the F moments, things like that. Juan, what's some of the ones off the top of your head?
I wanted to scream when I saw Martian Manhunter.
That was legit. Now, I'm not going to front. I do not know that much about Martian Manhunter, but I know that this boy ain't playing around. So what's the deal?
You definitely don't need to. Just the idea that they included him in the manner in which they included him made it exciting, because it made you want more about him. So if you don't know about him, then you're sitting there being like, man, who's this guy? And he looked amazing, you know. So it was a two-part factor. His surprise and him looking good. I feel like they did him justice the way he looked, because it's sometimes, a lot of times, let's just say, things from the comics don't necessarily translate into the cinematic world well. And this was one that I can say I felt like it translated well, because in the comics he's very two-dimensional. There isn't a lot to him. In the cinematic world, I feel like he looked good. And then you're sitting there thinking like, oh well, you know this guy flies, and you know that he looks powerful, and you know that he can shapeshift in people. So it piques your interest, and it tells me I want more.
Yeah. That was a big one. When I was first watching it, I was like, oh snap, because it was who was it? That was it, Colonel? It was like, I can't remember his name, but yeah, it was like the Colonel from Man of Steel that's first basically introduced to Zod and whatnot. So I was like, okay, and I like that guy as an actor too.
Yeah, good actor.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the one that stood out the most to me, the one that redeemed a certain someone from a certain other film, and the one that probably made me the most angry if we don't get a sequel to this particular cut of Justice League, was the nightmare sequences playing out. We got when Flash was trying to spark the mother box to wake up Superman, Cyborg had his own little nightmare sequence. So there's more touches of it, because a lot of people were questioning where did that sequence come from BVS into Justice League. We didn't see any of that, right? Then in the end of the film, you get Jared Leto's Joker. You've seen the pictures of him, long hair, don't care, looking like he's from a Rob Zombie movie or some shit like this, right?
Right.
And he's much more toned down, much more sinister, much more swag on his Joker appeal, right? So you got Batman, you got Joker, you got Deathstroke there.
Yeah.
You got Mara there, Queen Mara, okay? And Cyborg was there. That was just them, right?
That was just them.
Okay, so number one, we already got that credit scene that from the original Joss Whedon version of Justice League, as well as Zack Snyder's, with Deathstroke. And Lex Luthor's like, look, I can deliver Batman to you. And he tells him it's Bruce Wayne such and such. So we see that first. Queen Mara, Arthur Curry, we know what's going down with them. She references something jumping off with him like he ain't alive no more. Right? But we don't know what happened. And then you got Cyborg there, talking about we gotta run. He's gonna find us. He's coming right now. Then all of a sudden they reveal Joker is there, and Batman and Joker are sharing this dialogue that is like, to me personally, to me, if I'm really thinking about it right now, is like when Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are talking at that diner scene in Heat. And I'm not saying that Ben Affleck and Jared Leto are no Robert De Niro Pacino. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we're talking about two iconic characters that have never had dialogue like this.
Right.
The closest it comes to, not even Nolan's Dark Knight, honestly. Because in Nolan's Dark Knight, Batman, that was a legit iconic scene, fact, but he wasn't ever trying to work with the Joker. He was just basically saying, like, what's your plan? You know, where you going? How you going to do this? Stuff like that. That was all it was. Simple, you know, bad cop, bad guy. This ends like in a little bit of a truce.
Yeah.
The Joker's telling him things about worlds that he's destroyed. And you can tell that this premonition, this nightmare, is like maybe some Elseworld stuff like that, because DC's got, you know, alternate universes and things of this nature, right?
Right.
How do you feel about that, man?
You know, it's funny. It depends on how well you've been versed in things. And so because I do consider you someone that's extremely well versed in the Batman world / universe.
Extremely. I'm a savant.
It's something that for me, I liked it. But because of the fact that I'm not that well versed in it, I'll be the first one to say, I was like, oh, it was cool. Because for me, it throws a wrench in the system, because it makes you realize there's more to this, or there can be more to this. So again, if they go down that path, if they explore what did or can happen in that world, it's something that it's going to be amazing within itself. And it needs more than just one movie to do it.
Right.
So for me, being that I'm not that well versed, let's just say, it's something that what you felt there is what I felt when I saw The Flash. So I'm going to segue into the next spoiler. And for me, watching The Flash do what he did at the end of the movie, and really, it's very basic, but for those that understand Flash and understand when you're traveling as fast as he travels, in his ability to be able to reverse time, and to watch them play that out in the movie, and to watch them, just the way they filmed it was so great to me, and it was done proper, and it wasn't anything extremely grandiose, but for us who understand the Flash, who have a little more knowledge about the Flash, who realize that you're thinking in the back of your mind, flashpoint, flashpoint, I'm thinking to myself, wow, they're going to go down this path. And so you're left wanting to explore Batman, and I'm left wanting to explore the Flash. Two very big Easter eggs if they choose to move forward with this, but also very big spoilers, because it was nothing like this in the previous movie. It was nothing like this in movie 1. And for movie 2, again, 4 hours of a movie, I'm going to keep on reminding everybody, 4 hours were done well. And the fact that they fit this into the movie to me was great. Yeah.
I think that, you know, speaking about Flash and the kind of the time travel, like turning back the hands of time in a sense, the one thing that I love about Zack Snyder, a lot of people will say this about Zack Snyder in general, is that Zack Snyder is a lot more visual than he is story and dialogue. Mm-hmm. If anything could be pointed to Zack Snyder at being great at, it's his visuals. He's a visionary director, right? But not always is the script or the screenplay top notch. Fair enough. But what I will say that's fun about comic books and DC in specific is the way that certain characters can go in and out of different realities and in and out of different Earths. I mean, we're talking about Batman, we're talking about Wonder Woman, Superman, like Flash, you name it, right? So I do think that the one thing, and back to, you know, continuing with the spoilers, I do think that the one thing that was super tight to me is that within this 1 4-hour film, you're getting things that are being set up with Darkseid and the anti-life equation and just his way and his abilities to take over the universe and, you know, kill who he wants to kill, keep alive who he wants to keep alive, these types of things. And these are in certain comic runs. And then you get in Batman commingling with the Joker in a sense,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Making a truce with him. You're getting the Flash doing all the great Flash things that we've seen over the course of like the TV show and all that. And it looks like pages out of a comic book,
right.
You know, the world kind of like shattering away and, you know, coming back into fruition and whatnot. You know, he's turning really quick, you know, breaking out of his shoes and things of this nature. Like the detail in Zack Snyder's vision and then the grand storytelling, those things mixed in like Martian Manhunter, Joker, Flash, those spoilers really excited me about this film and where the story could go. So yeah, definitely big time spoilers, definitely like super, super fun. And the possibilities are like, I mean, with DC, it's literally endless. And they jumped right into that shit too. Very well. Zack Snyder, very well.
Right. In mentioning the fact that it's endless, so for anyone who follows any of the comic books, you understand it's all endless in the comic world. And so the beauty about this film is it now draws in those that are not necessarily versed in the comics, and it allows them to realize in film, it's also endless now. And so again, we've seen that, and I'm going to reference it again. We've seen it with Marvel. Marvel's done an amazing job with it, and I give them extreme kudos for that. And I've enjoyed every single one of their movies. But this is something for DC that's different. It's the first time I can really say it gave it the grit that it required. Since we're in spoilers, when you look at how it is, we all know that Steppenwolf was going to go down, but how it went down was impressive. I sat there thinking to myself, man, they went there. And the fact that it was comics, the fact that it was DC, the fact that it was the Six just made it feel different. And so now being able to see that you can actually do the Justice League right makes me want more. When in the first film, I didn't really want more necessarily because it was just kind of bland. And again, the thing I will reference, the biggest difference between Snyder Cut is the sheer fact that it makes you realize what it is the first film was missing. And when you see the potential of what he was able to do and understanding why it took 4 hours, it makes you want more. So I'm really hoping that the executives actually take note, because I haven't really read any bad reviews of the Snyder Cut. And I think it makes sense. It's not like everyone's jumping onto a bandwagon. It's the fact that you have something to compare it to. And you can actually realize now that, you know, film one was complete garbage, right? Complete garbage. And it's no disrespect to anybody, but how do you dare release something like that?
I will never watch it again.
Right.
Unless it's for research purposes to showcase how garbage it is in comparison to what we just seen.
If we're doing our homework and we need something to compare it to, right?
Yeah.
We can do that. Again, it's a Cliff Notes version, right? It's what could have potentially been, but it was a different vision.
And I also think it's important to showcase and to say that we're not saying that Zack Snyder's film is so great and so awesome in comparison.
Yeah.
I know I'm personally saying that this film is what I would have wanted and what I was hoping to get. Something complex, something different, something that gave respect to the characters and gave us a DC level Zack Snyder tone story. And that's what we got. And the Joss Whedon version, I personally feel, was trying to be Marvel. That, when people say like, oh, DC's trying to be, no, that was trying to be Marvel. They were trying to make it like Marvel in a lot of senses. And I think that Marvel is great because of what Marvel does. I enjoy the hell out of those movies. I cried when Iron Man died. I ain't gonna front on y'all. It's real talk. Okay, those films are great and the actors are phenomenal. But DC and Marvel, they have their differences, and we should all appreciate those differences. And Zack Snyder gave us those differences tenfold.
Absolutely. I think it's very valid to point out Justin and I are best friends, and I consider him a DC guy, and I would think that he considers me a Marvel guy. And we can sit here and eloquently have discussion and dialogue without killing each other, respecting each other's worlds. So if you look at his collection behind us, primarily DC. Someday, if you guys ever see my collection, I think all Marvel. I'm going into my favorite DC, which I told you guys was Flash. So when that comes, I'll probably go ahead and do a video with that.
We'll have to do a little behind the scenes look.
Right.
This man's collection. Oh,
so given that perspective, you understand now cinematically when you look at both franchises or both universes, you have the understanding that it's okay to be different because everyone likes something different. And this is something for myself, coming from someone that's a Marvel fan, to see what Zack Snyder was able to do for DC in this. I applaud the man. I'm grateful to him. I think a lot of DC fans are grateful to him. And again, I'll say, even for those that aren't DC fans, it was a quality film. It was a quality movie. It was something that got you emotionally involved and you wanted to see them win. You weren't so certain if they were going to win or how they were going to do it, but it was beyond entertainment, which is completely different than the first film.
Yeah. So let's talk about like final thoughts in regards to, just some quick final thoughts on either the film, any characters, Warner Brothers, DC, any of that, like final thoughts to kind of sum everything up.
Yeah, we'll make this one quick because we've discussed it so well. Joss Whedon, film 1, Cliff Notes. You can read a page about it, and it gives you the gist of what he thinks he wanted. Zack Snyder, film 2, what I'm still going to call the original film, right? And then it got released. That's the full meat of it. That's the book. So that book is a whopping 350, 400 pages long. It takes you that entire time to digest it, but it was very well done. It was very entertaining. And I want to make sure people are vocal about this. We, as the viewers, those that have the voting dollars, we want more. And that's something that I think people should say. I want to ensure if it's not Warner Bros., it's got to be somebody. Somebody has to understand that we want more of this quality. So that's kind of my vote for the second film.
Yeah, so I'm going to definitely say everything that he said, but I'm going to add a little bit more because I am a little bit more, okay? Number one, Zack Snyder was, I don't know this man personally, right? That'd be hella tight if I did, but I don't. But Zack Snyder was going through some crazy personal conflict. Man. At the end of Snyder Cut, he says, for Autumn. That was his adopted daughter. Right. She took her life. And from what I understand, from, reading some articles and things like that, she was the one person in his immediate family that definitely bonded with him the most over these types of films. So, he had a real personal connection. So for this man to deal with that loss and to deal with the studios basically putting the kibosh on his vision that they'd already agreed to, and there's some fans just talking about like F. Zack Snyder, he's ruining the whole thing and all this sort of stuff. And then we see this come out. Man, I got to give this guy props for being able to move through that time and move through those things on a personal level, on a human level, right? On another level, for everybody out there who is a Zack Snyder fan, who is a DC fan that started putting up the hashtag release a Snyder Cut, right. I don't know how to do that shit. I'm barely able to manage my own damn YouTube channel or my bank account. So big ups to all of y'all for putting them things out there because it gave me and my homie right here an incredible amount of joy. And for Zack Snyder, he's also said that this is something that he was able to do to work through his pain and grieving over his daughter and whatnot. Right. So it was beneficial for a lot of us fans and beneficial for him as well. So for all of y'all that set up these hashtags, this and that, let's set up another hashtag, release part 2. You know what I'm saying? Because I want more of it too. So I think that DC effed up. They shouldn't have put the kibosh on it. They should have just trusted this man's vision for better or for worse. However it might have come out, I think it came out great. So I think that Warner Brothers, DC, y'all done effed up, but now we see what's real, and hopefully y'all get your asses together for the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, with all that said, we done gave y'all a whole lot of information to break down. Comment below if you got disagreements, agreements. If you want us to break down some other DC properties, maybe we can understand what the hell happened with Suicide Squad. Because, god damn, maybe we can find out what happened with Wonder Woman 84. God damn, Patty Jenkins, what's your problem? Anyways, we're going to figure it all out. But for right now, my homie Juan, Jay Green, Green Screen Entertainment, Spoiler Talk Review. We're going to try to do more things like this together, and hopefully y'all are enjoying it, okay? Hook us up with a like and with a subscribe. And yes, I said us. All right? We out. I know you shouldn't throw up the peace sign. Let's do it again. We out.